So, you've been quarantined. I don't know about you, but I feel like God really wants us to take Lent seriously this year. Okay, so I know that everybody's really scared and nervous, and even outside of schoolwork, I know there's a lot of concerns about people's jobs and like, what does this mean? Like, I'm also really, really bored. But I want to show you some figures about why local officials elected to take such severe measures and put such severe measures into play. I've probably seen a lot of headlines and stuff flying around about Italy. I know I've mentioned it as well. What I recommend doing actually is going to Wikipedia, because these articles are about specific news, like live news items, are updated regularly, and they tend to be a bit more less, clickbaity, and a bit more nuanced in terms of like trying to pull in together a bunch of different sources and a bunch of different explanations. They cite all of their research and stuff as well. And since there's a lot of people looking at these articles at once, there's a lot of people making sure that they're correct. So looking at what's been going on in Italy, it's not great. Basically, this chart shows the progression of cases going all the way back to end of January and down now today. This was updated yesterday on active cases in orange, recoveries in blue, and unfortunately deaths in black. So as we can see, it's been quite an exponential curve, as we were expecting to happen. And it's also led to major societal disruptions and long-term concerns as people try to figure out what to do. Figure now. It's one that's been going around a couple different forms. It keeps getting updated. Obviously, this was last updated 2 days ago. But I want to just give you a minute to look at it and think about what you notice. All right. So yeah, as you can see, that even though Italy is, has a lot of differences from the United States in terms of demographics, just general like the ages of the population, how people move around. Like a lot of people there, are especially in small villages and communities and more tightly knit cities, move around a lot more than a lot of us in cars. But even with that, we're seeing a very similar pattern. And so what a lot of public health officials are seeing or saying is that we may be, just a few days away from also getting an exponential increase in cases. And since there is about on average a 5-day incubation period for the disease before it shows up with serious or like moderate to serious symptoms, there's a lot of concern that there's a lot of people walking around right now who are spreading it without being aware of it. So we're trying to put lockdown situations on early to hopefully slow that down a little bit. The hashtag going around, flatten the curve, or flattening the curve, and maybe you have a sense of what it means, but just in case, I want to talk about it really briefly here. So what this shows is, obviously, on the y-axis, number of cases, and the x-axis being time, specifically time since the first documented case of the disease. And what we see is that in a population, as a very virulent virus spreads around, you can either have everybody get sick at once and then eventually hopefully develop immunity and cases drop down, or you can spread it out a little bit longer over time and have not everybody getting sick at once. And the issue there is this line here, which is basically the carrying capacity of the population, specifically the healthcare system carrying capacity. And so what we're concerned about is people getting too sick to be able to be treated efficiently, because there's only so many beds in America, there's only so many respirators. Also, I was reading an article this morning that a hospital in Georgia is running out of just basic hospital supplies like, gloves, masks, IV lines, IV drips, all of that. So this is why doing things like social distancing are important in public health, because they shift the scenario into something more like this. Something that I am also genuinely concerned about is this graphic, which may not be one that you have seen yet. So right now, we are attempting to do something to bring the curve into a situation more like this. However, please keep in mind that we don't want to end it too early, because then we'll have a risk of a lot of people who were being protected by staying at home suddenly being like, oh, now we can go out and it's great and we can all go to bars and concerts and the movies and it'll be fun. And then we may have this secondary spike later on. So please keep that in mind, that if situations call for extending the quarantine and extending the time before we can get back to school, there is a reason for it. So I know this sucks. It really, really sucks. A lot of people, as well as being concerned about their jobs, just general, like, oh, sitting around the house all the time. Like, I wanted to go to the movies. I wanted to go, play sports with my friends and all that. And spring break's coming up and we were going to go on a trip or whatever. But there is a reason for it. My mom is, very sad about, like, oh, well, we were going to, play golf. We were going to go to baseball games because she and my sister are season ticket holders to the A's. But I mean, my mom is also 73, so I'm very concerned. And my dad is 70, and he's been having some health problems recently, so I'm very concerned about him. My grandmother is 97, and she's basically been on family quarantine for a month, practically, just in case. So for people like them, and I'm sure you have family members as well, that you're also possibly concerned about, whenever you're, getting, and it's okay to be frustrated for a little bit, but once you are, just take a moment, take a breath and think, this isn't about me. This is about other people. And this is about supporting, doing what I can to support my communities by, making some, accepting some choices that are not in the best, entertainment interest for me, but in the long run, hopefully it'll all even out for a more sustainable community system. Thank you for your patience and understanding about the situation. Be sure to participate in Benny's digital spirit participation points. Keep washing your hands. Also, since you're at home, maybe spend some time wiping down surfaces that people touch a lot, like light switches, handrails, doorknobs, and toilets, because, you should be doing that anyway. And happy St. Patrick's Day.